This is bordering on insanity. NASA diversity efforts hit hard with DEI shutdowns on paper. Edward Joseph Dwight Jr.'s qualifications spoke for themselves. The military pilot had a degree in aeronautical engineering, and would strap his small frame into aircraft like the sleek, supersonic F-104 Starfighter at Edwards Air Force Base to go faster and higher than most dared. Closer to the ground, the Kansas-born airman even had the backing of then-President John Kennedy, a charismatic young leader, hoping to unify a racially torn country to potentially represent the nation as the first black astronaut, diversifying the fledgling, all-white, all-male astronaut corps. Kennedy was trying to get the nation ready for a black astronaut, said Dwight, whose battle against the Goliath of prejudice faded in the aftermath of Kennedy's 1963 assassination. The nation, beset by assassinations, racially motivated bombings in the South and scenes where peaceful civil rights protesters were beaten by law enforcement, had not caught up yet with Kennedy's grand outlook, Dwight said. Today the former fighter pilot and astronaut trainee, who enlisted in the Air Force in 1953 and says he works to remain neutral when it comes to politics, is wearied by a troubling echo of the past century. Like others with deep connections to the nation's dream of traveling to the stars, Dwight is worried that the progress NASA has made toward greater diversity will be unwound. That vision of space being a welcoming place for all qualified, talented people regardless of background is being pushed aside, Dwight fears. Nearly a month ago, President Donald Trump signed sweeping executive orders dismantling diversity and inclusion at NASA and other federal agencies. Measures, Dwight and others point out, meant to give qualified women and minorities a chance to be part of NASA's mission for space travel and stir up universal support from Americans of all backgrounds. The only thing I can say is that this is bordering on insanity, said Dwight, whose dreams of seeing the Earth from orbit were deferred for 6 decades, until he was launched to the edge of space from West Texas aboard Blue Origin's New Shepard capsule in May 2024 at age 90. What he's doing is aimed at destroying everything that was built up over the years, Dwight, now 91, told Florida Today, referring to Trump. Dwight was speaking from his Colorado studio, where he has focused on his critically acclaimed sculpting for the last several decades. DEI diversity, equity, and inclusion scrubbed from NASA. At NASA, some web pages that touted the diversity of the space program, a deliberate policy since the late 1970s, have been scrubbed. Programs promoting diversity and inclusion, such as Black History Month, or those honoring the achievements of women and other minorities, including black astronauts, appear to have been shut down. There are worries that hundreds of jobs may be slashed at many of NASA's 10 field centers across the nation, just as is happening at other federal agencies. Gone also is NASA's push for programs aimed at getting more minority students involved with STEM efforts as a pathway to bring in the next generation of scientists, astrophysicists, researchers, and astronauts. The agency's counterparts in the Army have already pulled back recruitment efforts with a national black engineering conference and a women's school in South Carolina. Employees at NASA were given the news January 22 by one of the agency's leading proponents of diversity, Janet Petro, NASA's acting administrator. A native of Brevard County and a West Point graduate, she is the first woman to hold that position. In 2021, she became the first female director of Kennedy Space Center.